McKinsey research shows that 86% of startups ignore crucial customer feedback. But the real danger isn't what founders dismiss, it's what they think they heard. Google Wave promised to revolutionize collaboration. They conducted interviews, they gathered feedback, and they launched with confidence. The result? Users were so confused that Twitter was filled with memes. Got Google Wave, now what? And Google shut it down after admitting Wave hadn't seen the user adoption they expected. The problem wasn't technology, it was interview bias. Founders heard what validated their vision, not what users actually needed. So we kicked off this series of episodes delving into our biases. I'm really fascinated around the challenge that tech owners, startup founders have around understanding their customers. It's not a case that they're not speaking to people, but there's some issue with actually kind of understanding what's being said. So I really wanted to dig into what these things are, and so uncovered a world of different biases. We've done 2 episodes already, one on cognitive biases, one on social group biases, and this episode is going to look specifically at interview specific biases. So in this episode, we're looking at why is awareness of these interview specific biases so important, the 7 interview specific biases that are really impacting your business, your startup, whatever it is, the technology that you're trying to build. And then we've got 5 strategies to help you overcome these biases. Okay, so here's the thing. You're asking the wrong questions, hearing the wrong answers, and building the wrong product. And it's not because your customers are lying to you. Interview biases, like leading questions, make customers tell you what you think you want to hear. The courtesy bias makes them politely phrase ideas that you'll never use. The courtesy bias makes them politely praise ideas they'll never use. Recall bias distorts how they remember their actual behavior versus their idealist version of it. And for founders validating ideas and improving existing products, these biases transform customer discovery from your most valuable tool into your most dangerous deception. Every great interview that leads to a failed launch has 3 biases hidden in plain sight. Learning to recognize and neutralize interview specific biases is the difference between building what customers say they want and building what they'll actually buy.
After 20 years in the tech space and doing hundreds probably of interviews, tests, and working with many companies, I can say that probably interview biases are the ones to be aware of, the ones to really pay attention to. And so, like you said, Simon, just a second ago, there is a problem from both sides, right? The person who is running the interview and the participant, they both have biases. So as a result, completely unaware, the outcome of the interview is not reflecting the reality almost at all. And we're going to cover in a second which biases to be really aware of. But just to understand that this might have a crucial impact on your product. And we work with many companies and startups where people doing the job, like you said, 1,600 interviews, 900 demos, 50, 100, 200 calls with customers, and they still have no idea why things are not working. And biases could be one of the reasons why things are not working. So let's have a look at the 7 deadly interview biases that could potentially kill your customer discovery and understanding what to improve within your product. So my favorite one is the interview bias itself. So what it is when you tone, body language, or leading question unconsciously guide users toward telling you what you want them to hear. It contaminates the feedback before they even answer. So I think it's something that I observe in a lot of people who are actually running interviews. Just something like changing your facial expression. Let's say they say something to you that you're not liking, and you just make your face look a bit angry or upset. As an interviewer, that could impact massively what person is saying, because if somebody is an empath, right, and is a participant of your research, then they suddenly get really worried that they're making you upset. So just from the facial expression.
Yeah, I think we like totally underestimate all of how powerful those things can be to like the recipient, receiver, and where they are and how they kind of interpret the world. Like your tone in your body language, you could be super confident and like projecting, and that can really like lead the other person on the receiving end, depending on like who they are and their sort of personality type. But yeah, super important, that one.
Hey guys, we're really hoping that you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, please like, subscribe, and follow. And if you really want to know more about who we are and what we do, go to buildinggreattech.com. Now let's go back to the episode. On the other end of that, I recently watched one business owner who was running some sessions with users. And as he was running the session with the participant, he was also doing other things on his computer. So his face looked completely not interested,
Are you kidding me?
completely distracted and not really focused on the participant.
Wait, when you say other things, what, he was writing an email or what?
Yeah, writing email, answering some messages. So I could see from like, if that was me, if I was a participant, I would feel like I'm saying something incorrectly because I feel that person is completely not interested in me. Also on top of that, I would feel upset because I made an effort. I came here to sit with you and test your product, which sometimes I have, no interest in. But if you see somebody not into the conversation, you just kind of like, it's the same like if you had conversation with somebody like in the street and you see from the facial expression they're not into it.
They're on their phone.
Oh, they're on their phone. Exactly the same thing.
That blows my mind. Yeah, I'm really into you and you buying my product.
But people are busy. I don't think anyone is doing it because they're bad people, but it's just like life gets in the way, right? But so important to realize how your facial expression, what you say, your tone of voice can impact the actual answers of the session. So 83% of startup founders unconsciously ask leading questions that confirm their pre-existing beliefs about customer needs. And we confirm that because probably most of the clients that work with us, after working with us, they then say to us, you know what, guys, and now we understand what you meant by you can get any answer you want if you ask leading questions.
Yeah. And like, okay, second up on this interview biases is the response bias. So this is when like users systematically giving inaccurate answers in demos and feedback calls, not because they're like lying, but because the interview format itself triggers unnatural responses that don't reflect their real behavior. So that comes down to how you actually, the importance of how you set up those interviews and conduct them and run them with people. It's just really underestimated how valuable it is to have a solid bit of prep time and a setup and a approach that is gonna like extract the best response from those that you're speaking to.
Well, yeah, let's say we're testing a product, we need to do it so it follows the natural journey a person would take if they were using the product by themselves, right? If we just drop them in a random page out of context and just ask them questions, they might give us random answers that would not, give us anything useful, really. So actually making sure that the format is matching what the natural behavior would be is really, really important.
So another interview specific bias that we come up against is response bias. So this is where users are systematically giving inaccurate answers in demos, feedback calls, not because they're lying to you, but because the interview format itself triggers unnatural responses that don't reflect their real behavior. So in face-to-face or live calls can kind of create a social pressure on people. Demo style interviews like lead users, question order can like really have an impact and shape the answers, and like short high energy calls like encourage quick like surface level responses.
It's good to be aware of that when we're selecting which way we want to which format we want to choose, and then, like you said, face-to-face interview or live calls create social pressure. So we then need to really pay attention to social pressure biases.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think maybe just being really conscious around what the different sort of goal of the call is. So lots of people kind of mix up the practice of like, oh, I'm giving a demo, and thinking that they're actually getting unbiased feedback from, when they're not really. They're providing a demo to the tool. It's like a sales job, right? So what is it? Are you looking to, what's the goal of the call that you're having? Is it you want to make a sale? Do you want to give a demo? Are you actually looking for feedback? And then separate the feedback, because it's so important, out of that sales piece.
Another one very interesting bias to be aware of during the interviews is acquiescence bias. And what it is when users tend to agree with the statement or usually a question that you ask them, especially when the questions are framed in a way that invites yes. So to give you an example, you'd probably use a tool like this if it existed, wouldn't you? So that automatically brings up a yes. And I remember you mentioned you had a call with the one founder, and he was super excited about the product, and he said something like, this is amazing, wouldn't you agree? Right?
Yeah.
So that invites a yes answer.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be very careful around that, because 68% of survey responders say yes to products that they would never actually use, just to be polite, or just because the questions are formulated in a certain way that invite this excitement and a yes answer to everything.
Yeah.
That's by Market Research Society 2023.
Yeah, I love that. And that also, again, highlighting the challenge around surveys there. Yeah, next up, demand characteristics. So these are cues in research study that hint to a participant that what the study is actually about, like its purpose, causing them to change their behavior to align with what they believe is expected. It's really interesting. Little kind of like nuance off of the sort of leading question type thing, but around the actual approach itself. So these cues can lead to sort of biased results, as participants might like act in a way that supports the hypothesis to try and help a researcher, or kind of intentionally disrupt the results, aligning more with what you're kind of pitching.
Yeah, this is really quite interesting, because that's why when we run and we coach people to run user sessions, we often say that don't say too much about what you're looking for in the research, in the sessions, or what this is about, or what the company does, to let them work it out by themselves and then connect the dots, whether it works for them or not.
Yeah, this falls into that like wearing too many hats. You can see, because it's like, oh, it's a new customer potential opportunity to get a like following and kind of sell to somebody, and you're obviously passionate about what it is and the thing that you're building, so you could easily fall into that trap of doing your spiel around what it is and the problem you're trying to overcome.
And also that's because when you are doing marketing demos and then user sessions, you basically do the same thing. So then you start the session by saying, hi, I am the owner or founder of X. It's a very exciting new platform that helps everyone to become like, I don't know, connected and blah, blah, blah. And today we really want to find out if it's really useful for you and helpful and blah, 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 blah. And that already sort of puts the seeds of like what the interviewer
what
is
you're
looking for.
for.
So you automatically already sort of which you as a participant can change what you're saying.
Yeah, and really, like, if you can brush that aside and just go, what we've done and built and designed and put together, does that stand alone communicate all of those things that we want it to about our product? Like, it's just if you can get over that and not include any of that, then you can really understand, oh, is this actually communicating all of these things I want it to? Because if it does, people will regurgitate that if you give them the space and the right framework to answer.
Yeah, so a very good example, a simple example is, instead of saying, we are building a platform for safety for women who are running in new places, how we can introduce at the start of the session. We can say we're building a new app in the fitness space.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it super
simple,
high level.
and see if people can work out what it is and what is the unique value we're trying to sell.
Yeah, is it kind of communicating? Yeah. So like when customers figure out what you're building, 79% change their answer to what they think you want to hear. This is like a Consumer Psychology Journal 2022.
Crazy.
Another bias, quite similar to one that we previously covered, is courtesy bias. And that's where users are telling you that your product is great and that they'll definitely use it in like face-to-face demos because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Then they actually like never sign up or convert afterwards. So they're really like hiding the negative feedback and being polite.
Nobody really wants to kill another's dreams, right? But the courtesy bias is all about hiding that negative feedback and like to support you. And especially you can see that very often also in paying participants. If you pay the participants, they might sometimes feel like they're obliged to be nice to you.
Yeah.
So that's something to be aware of. And if you can get people interested in your product without paying them, that's the best situation.
Yeah, ideally you can do that. But if you do have paying users, you can always sort of say like your answers aren't going to impact the payment, you'll still get paid whatever. Can kind of be helpful. 91% of people won't tell a founder their product idea is bad during customer discovery interviews. This is like Harvard Business School Consumer Development Study in 2023. And I think that again is probably down to the way that those sessions are kind of like set up.
Yeah, another one, really good one to bear in mind is the question order bias. So what it is when asking, do you like our product before what's your biggest problem in this space, primes user to give you positive feedback versus asking about their problems first, which reveals whether your product actually matters to them at all. So it might be a small thing, and this is one of the things that we always work with our clients as well, is the actual order of the questions in which they should be asking during the interview and during the usability sessions, right? Because that definitely can impact the information you get.
Yeah, it does make sense that founders would want to business owners, you just want to get straight into, oh, this thing that I've built, does it work? But actually you want to like really dig into that problem space and spend some time asking around that stuff, have this kind of interview ahead of digging into the product. Makes complete sense.
One client that I saw, they building the recruitment platform, right? That helps people in specific branch or specific area find projects that they can work on very quickly. So if you ask them, if there was a platform that would help you quickly find jobs, would you use it? Then obviously everyone will say yes. But if you show them the platform that they can experience and see it, and then ask the question is like, would this platform kind of like, would you use this particular platform because you already experienced it? Then the people might say, maybe they would still say yes, but they will flag to you like what wasn't working in that particular platform, right? So it's the order of things that we do in the interviews and the sessions with users is super important. So the sequence of your interview question changes customer responses by up to 47%. Most founders never test different questions order neither. That's from Journal of Marketing Research for 2022. And the last one is sampling bias. So what it is only talking to users who respond to your outreach or to attend your demos or give feedback. So they are interested in what you're doing. So you potentially might be missing out on, let's say, another 80 or 90% of people who signed up, but they never sort of continue using your platform and disappeared. So it's actually a really good point because we're usually obviously finding people for a research, whoever is the easiest to, get, right? That's how a lot of people end up testing with friends and family or completely almost different people the actual personas are. Because they're just available out there. So I think it's very important to also try to reach people who have left your platform, right? Who are signed up and didn't continue using it. So kind of like having a bit of like both ends covered, the start of the journey and the end of the journey when they drop off.
Yeah, I mean, those people that didn't actually convert and didn't sign up, they'll have all of the reasons as to why they didn't do those things. So Obviously they were interested to give you your email and sign up at one point, but then something broke down. So yeah, they're the best people to go after, really, if you're wanting to figure out what was wrong.
And 86% of startup customer interviews are conducted with people who are the easiest to reach, not representative of the actual target market. That's by Entrepreneurship Research Quarterly 2023.
Right, so now to the important stuff, like how do you actually overcome these biases? We've got like 4 key strategies. First up, we mentioned this before, the mum test. So it's Rob Fitzpatrick. It's specifically designed to eliminate kind of interview bias, courtesy bias, and demand characteristics in like one single framework. So the cool rule is talk about your life, not your idea, like talk about their life, sorry, not your idea. So how it works is, again, we're focusing on asking about past behavior. When was the last time you faced the problem, ideally, that your platform product is kind of overcoming? Will reveal like the truth around that. Not would you use our solution, because it just triggers this kind of courtesy bias of like, yes, of course I would, it'll be nice. So ask about money already spent on something. What are you using now, and what does that cost, is actually going to reveal kind of their priorities and call kind of buying purchase decisions. So instead of asking like, is this problem important, we're just going to trigger that acquiescence bias. So if you're a founder and are getting, I'd love to, but can you like do this thing, support Brazilian currency, for example. This is a classic kind of courtesy bias, like deflection. The mum test question would be more like, walk me through your last purchase decision. What stopped you? So this is going to kind of reveal those blockers and not the like polite excuses. Okay, so like here's an immediate kind of implementation strategy. Before every call, like just write down 3 questions that pass the mum test. So they're about the user's past and present, not your product's feature or future.
Another way to avoid the interview bias is using something called behavior data analysis. So track action, not the words. That will bypass completely the response bias by ignoring what users say and only measure what they do. So for instance, founders have data, but they're just not using it systematically. And how it works is, don't ask, was onboarding easy? Track how many people completed it and how many people dropped off. Don't ask, would you upload documents here? Instead, measure how many people actually do versus abandon. So don't ask which feature do you want, track which features retained users and actually being used. That eliminates the gap between what users say in demos, like this is really great, and what they actually do and why they disappear after. One founder discovered users raved about the feature in interviews, but usage data showed 2% actually use it. So that's a kind of very telling example. So immediate implementation is identifying top 3 drop-off points in the analytics. Stop asking users why, just watch what they do and where they stop, and then compare power users' behavior versus churned users' behavior, and then make sure you also at the end talk to those churned users.
And third up, we've got recruit, interview churned, non-converting users. So we briefly mentioned this before. So evidence, amplitudes, research on learning from lost customer. So what we're doing here is like directly solves this kind of sampling bias where we're going after people that are easy to kind of get hold of, and stops founders from only hearing from the like engaged 10%, missing out on those silent few that are really holding the secrets to kind of unblocking their kind of conversion insights. So how this works with like email 50 users who signed up but never activated, and ask like, I'm trying to understand what didn't work. Open to like a 15-minute call. Here's a $50 kind of gift card, £50 wherever you are. Then kind of interview them with the mum test questions. So these users have no kind of social incentive to be polite. They've already left, basically. So they'll tell you the brutal truth about what kind of blocked them from converting. So this actually can be like a goldmine of insight. Users who have churned have like zero courtesy bias. They'll say, your onboarding was confusing. I didn't like understand the value of what it was that I was offering, or I found like a competitor that was much easier, and you can kind of like dig into that. Or maybe it's like I never actually got around to it and forgot you even existed.
Wow. But the fourth way and the last one, which I actually think is very effective, is using third-party user researchers. So basically hiring someone who is not so close to your product, they're from outside, and they can run research completely unbiased. So that eliminates the demand characteristics and interview biases by removing the founder from the conversation entirely. And users can tell the interviewer what they think, what they really think, and they're not going to be telling you what they think you want to hear, because you are not obviously the creator of the platform. And I actually agree with this, and this is what we do also with our clients. We always try to tell them before you start an interview, just pretend that you are not the builder of this platform and you are not connected to it. That's sometimes helps as well. But so how it works is hire somebody from outside, like a specialist or researcher, or have a team member who didn't build the product, maybe conduct the interviews, or you can also use some third-party tools like user interviews. They're quite expensive sometimes, but in my opinion, hiring somebody who is not close to the product works the best. So when founders interview their own users, they unconsciously signal what they want to hear, of course, like we said, especially through the tone, follow-up questions and reactions with their face and so on. So a neutral third party gets radically different and more honest feedback. Okay, so just to sum up what we were just saying. So every conversation is contaminated, whether we are aware of that or not. And every answer is influenced, and every insight truly is compromised. Sounds very dramatic. The customers you can easily interview are not the customers who will buy your product very often. So your most confident customer discovery insights are built on a foundation of unconscious manipulation and social politeness. The bottom line is, while you're celebrating your validated customer interviews, your competitors are building products for the customers who would never agree to talk to you in the first place. And the hardest customers to interview are the easiest to monetize. The easiest customers to interview are the hardest to convert.
Right, so let's round off this episode with like a challenge for the week, right? Before your next customer interview, test yourself, right? So number one, the past behavior test. Replace, would you use this with, walk me through the last time you faced this problem. What did you do? This is really digging into the problem and actually looking at what's actually happening with people who are likely to use your product if it's solving the problem in the right way. Second up, the money test. So replace, is this important to you, with what are you currently spending time or money on with this problem right now? We're looking at what's actually happening, right? The behavior people are taking at the minute already, not talking about future stuff. Thirdly, the silent majority test. So ask yourself, am I only talking to people who are responding to me? This is challenging. Reach out to 5 users who signed up but disappeared. So offer them, $20 for just 10 minutes of like brutal honesty. Get them on a call. Key rule here is, if you're hearing what's validating your idea, you're asking the wrong questions. Good customer discovery calls should like make you uncomfortable. You want to hear things that are not ideal, really, because then you've got like insights you can act on. So if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, give us some support. We're really want to build something here that's helpful and supportive to people. Connect with us on like LinkedIn or socials. Send us any questions. We're really happy to answer them. We might even like create shows off the back of them. And if you want to know more, go to buildinggreattech.com for free guides, tips on how to make your kind of platform, digital product or services more profitable and customer focused. See you next time.